Hello viewers, Gran Turismo is now part of the Olympics. So within the game we have the Olympic esports official licensed event. And the best ranked drivers will be invited to take part in the first ever Olympic esports week. So this is something very new for the Olympics, June 22nd to the 25th this year in Singapore. Entry form, I suppose I should probably enter. Yep. I'm definitely reading all of this. Alright, we're in, guys. Okay, I'm entering this quite late. There is only one day left, and there's only one finalist per country. And because I'm in the UK, this therefore means I need to beat VQS Coyote on a 1:14.888. Okay, this is going to be really hard. I mean, one of my aims is obviously to be the fastest in the UK, which probably isn't going to happen. But I really want to get gold. You have to get within 1.5% of the first place time. So this is my genuine first lap with zero practice. Let's see what we can do. So it's the Toyota Group 1 Hybrid. I've already disqualified myself. So as you can tell, my first few runs were absolutely diabolical, and there was a lot of getting used to this car to be done. So through the first corner, big slide on the exit, and that's something I was noticing, was that this car was one, very unforgiving on the exits of corners, especially if you were in the wrong gear. But two, coming through the corners, it was actually quite understeery in many ways as well. So these were the two main things that I was having issues with at the beginning. But what I wanted to do here really was just to set a lap time, any lap time at all, just cross the finish line, so at least then we can improve upon something. So onto the back straight. This is where you get a bit of a rest before we head towards the horrific final hairpin, a corner that I really do not like on this game. It always feels a bit strange and inconsistent to take this corner. But we're going to head in, probably a bit too late on the brake, going way too deep, but the lap has not been invalidated, and so we are going to come round to actually, at long last, set a tangible qualifying time. Now it wasn't going to be the best, but as I said, I just wanted to get a lap time on the board. Oh man, 118.3. This is going to be a very long day. I'm 44,000th in the world, 4.8% off the number one. You know guys, I'm feeling quite generous today, so I'm going to give away this FANATEC GT DD Pro, which is one of these beautiful things from FANATEC. And in order to win, well, you may have noticed the Super GT merch. Go over to supergt.gg and register your email, and you'll be in with a chance of winning that wheel. And my merch will come out very soon, so you should definitely get that as well. There's even going to be Super GT socks. These have got to be worth a couple of attempts minimum. And so with the Super GT socks now on, I was hoping indeed that they would be worth a couple of tenths, as I was needing, well, at least probably a couple of seconds at this point. A 118.351 on the board, and that's not really close to where we need to be. I need to be down at least into the 116s for now. And so this session was really about trying to work out what I could get away with in terms of track limits, also in terms of the car performance. Where can you push this car, where can't you push it? In towards the hairpin, I knew that I could improve down here, and still perhaps turning in a little bit too early, carrying a bit too much speed in, getting a lot of understeer, and therefore getting a poor exit. It was an improvement though to a 16.930, and here you see invalidating the lap. But this is really what I was trying to do, just trying to push, see where you can and can't cut the track, so to speak. So obviously cutting a little bit too much there. So at least I know where the track limit is. And on this occasion here, very close to the Ghost, I usually start my Ghost 0.3 seconds ahead, and therefore if I'm equal or ahead as I am now, I know that I've gone at least 3 tenths faster. And that was a much better exit on that occasion. So this is going to shave off at least half a second, I'd imagine. Indeed it does, 16.3, so improvement by about half a second, which is good. Getting towards that low 16 into the 15s area that we need to be. But it wasn't all plain sailing, it must be said. There's so much time to be gained, but it's so hard to nail these laps. Oh my god, man. With a 15.9 as my optimal, I was getting to that point in a time trial session where it becomes increasingly more difficult to chip away any time at all. But with a 15.98 optimal, I knew at least getting a 15 was possible, theoretically. I just had to hook up an entire lap. On this occasion here, you can see I was managing to hook up the hairpin. I was level with the Ghost, near enough, and this would be an improvement by a quarter of a second, and therefore a low 16. Okay, 16.0, possible 15.9. I'm happy with that. 1.74% off the top. I just need 0.2 for a gold. Okay, I'm up to the top 2,000 in the world. Let's take a look at the number 1 time and see what we can learn. So I suppose the main things I'm looking for here are shifting points, the gears they use, the lines, track limits. Let's have a look. So it keeps in 6th gear, doesn't actually use 7th. Rotates it down into 1st, 3rd on the exit of turn 1. This bit's tricky. 4th gear. Okay, so you've got to keep 2 wheels within the white lines. It's quite strict. Same applies to this. You really need to get as much of this curb as possible to get a good angle. Pretty much right on the line. You have to be here to get a good angle for that right-hander. Down to 2nd, but back to 3rd. And using all of that curb there, I don't think I was doing that. I need to use more of that. 3rd gear on the exit. Keep it quite tight. This is where I can definitely gain this left-hander. 4th gear. Using that extra tarmac on the 1st gear back to 3rd. Oof, right again on the edge. Right up to the white line. And this hairpin, this is where you can gain and lose so much. 47.4 at the 2nd split. So where's he braking? Just after 150. Carry the speed in. 1st gear, 2nd. Then it's just about smoothness. Making sure... I think if the car wiggles, the deployment of the hybrid is so bad. You have to really keep the car smooth. And he keeps to the left for a shorter distance to the finish. Wow, 14.7. Now I've just got to do that. Simple, right? There's actually a video here of Gallo, who's actually 2nd on the leaderboard at the moment. He's using 0 brake bias, which is interesting. I guess that's the best thing to do. I think there's no question I could use more of this track width on this corner. I'm going to try a different bias here. And so with this new brake bias setting, and of course the knowledge from watching the top times in the world, it was time for me to get into the 15s. And I knew that the 15s would be the second that I should be within. 16 is not a bad time at all, but I know that a 15 is definitely possible for me. And a 21.5 through the 1st split, and that was actually the first time I'd managed that. That was the fastest I had done through that sector. So I knew I was improving. I was on an upward trajectory, which is always a positive thing to see in a time trial. You're not always going to improve every lap, but as long as your rough upward trend is upwards or faster, whichever way you want to look at it, then that is always a good thing. Now here you see again, Fast and the Ghost, 48.372 on the 2nd split. Again, a PB for me. And so just having to hook up this final hairpin, which is so difficult to do, and getting that braking point right, the turning in point right, letting off the brake at the correct moment, so difficult to get exactly correct. But this was going to be an improvement, and it was going to be just below the 116 mark. Whew, right, there's a 15.9. I'm happy with that. 1,688 of us have got below a 116, but I need about a 10th more to get a gold, and this is really difficult. This car is so loose, my god. Now I was getting to that very frustrating part of a time trial where perhaps overthinking it, driving a little bit too hard, knowing that any sort of gain at this point is going to be very difficult to come by. But here, I noticed as I head down this left-hander, the Ghost actually going really wide. And I knew that I could go quicker. There was no question about it. But here, look at this. Drifting slightly wide with a correction. Anguish, pure anguish on my face. As I knew this was a good lap, I was definitely closer to the Ghost. And with a 48.296 for the second split, I knew that this could be a good lap. So I decided to continue anyway, even though it wouldn't count. I think there's a good reason to do this, mainly to see what is theoretically possible. I knew that I could get faster than what my time is, a 9.89. And on this occasion, despite it not counting, I was happy with this lap. Right, that would have been good enough for gold. That was so close. Now, on this next part of the time trial, I must admit that I completely forgot how to drive. As you can see here, making numerous errors and sending myself into the Shadow Realm time after time. But eventually, I managed to remember how to drive. And you can see here, 48.309 second split, which is pretty good. Could we close up to the Ghost and get a good hairpin? The worst corner in this game, I swear. A small amount of wheel spin on the exit, but I think this would be a small improvement, as indeed it would be, a 15.968. And the good thing here was that the consistency was there. High 15s or very low 16s, 3 laps in a row, and so I knew that I was on the cusp of getting this much better lap time. So after smashing myself into the wall, I decided to take a break, which I think is always the safe and healthy thing to do. And after the aforementioned break, I came back slightly refreshed and ready to conquer the gold medal time. Now, that was a really tidy exit through turn 1. This time with the Ghost set to a 0.2 second difference, but definitely quick already. 21.498 through the first split. That is the fastest time I have done through there. And so the higher water mark is getting higher each time, it seems. Now through here on the exit, not quite getting the exit I would have liked. Ghost pulling away slightly. It's really hard to get this deployment dead correct with this hybrid. But I knew I was on for a good lap. 267 through the second split. Now if I could just get this final corner correct, this would be a gold medal time. A very nice exit, actually straighter than the Ghost. Small amount of wheel spin. And you can see here, I was really hoping that this would indeed be a gold. As we wind round through the final kink onto the main straight, well, just take a look. Yes, come on. 15.812. Okay, gold time achieved. Top 1,000 in the world. Still quite a long way to go to beat Coyote, who's now on a 14.844. I've got to get another second. Let's just see what that looks like. Let's load the Ghost. But it didn't make for very pretty viewing, if I'm being completely honest, because when you put yourself up against a top 10 Ghost in the world, it is actually incredibly difficult, and it just shows you just how much of a difference there is between, let's say, the top 1,000 and then the top 10. It is such a big difference. I was able to keep within a couple of tenths for the first sector, but over the course of a lap, they're just gaining small amounts everywhere, and it is almost impossible to keep up or really learn anything from someone who is that much quicker than you. Just looking at this leaderboard, you know, I'm a long way off these 14.8s, 14.7, but I do think I can get within a second of the number one. So I'm actually about 0.07 quicker than the gold target time, but I'm going to try and improve anyway. So I definitely wanted to make sure my time was 100% safe as a gold. Now here, this was a good example of another improvement, but on an invalidated lap. So you can see here, going slightly wide on the exit of the first corner into the hairpin, gaining on the Ghost. So I knew that this was a decent lap, and that once again the high water mark was being moved slightly up. A 15.7 was possible. Yes, I did go wide once, but I knew that that 0.7 was possible. Optimum 15.7 there. I know I can do it. I'm close. And on this lap, I was very close. A 21.6 through the first split was okay, but I managed to sort out my second half of this second sector by getting a good line through this downhill left. And look at this, right into the ghost until I made this stupid error. So that was deeply frustrating. I knew that I was getting very, very, very close to this time. That lap could have been 0.7 had I continued and got the hairpin correct. This first lap of this session, 15.8 invalidated, and therefore, as you can probably tell guys, we're getting very close, and it's just that frustrating point of a time trial where you really do just have to hook up an entire lap. There are so many thoughts going through your head, it's really easy to start overthinking everything at this point. But you do have to get into the right frame of mind where you're just really just kind of flowing through the track and not really thinking about it too much. Okay exit there, quite close to the ghost. And as we head towards the final hairpin of this lap, it was a good second split time. Can we get this right? Please say we can get this right. Good exit, almost into the back of the ghost. You can see there, impressed. This is surely going to be a massive, monumental improvement. In fact, it's going to be nearly a tenth quicker than an 8.58, and indeed it would be that coveted 0.7. Okay, that improvement puts me more than a tenth safe from the goal target time, so I think I'm okay there. I'm actually really annoyed that I didn't get within a second. So we're going to have to go again. I usually set myself the target of getting within a second of the top leaderboard time, and I was getting very close to that. 15.742 was a slight improvement, and my consistency was getting very, very good indeed. It's a 0.7 and then 2.8 in a row. Even though the first two were invalidated, I knew that the consistency was there, and it was only a matter of time before I'd string together the entire lap and get a slight improvement to a 0.6. Now, I had an optimum of a 0.6, so I knew it was possible. The 7.42 was good, and it did put me within a second of the top time. But one thing with a time trial is there's a time you set, and then there's a time you know you can set. And I know that I could do a 0.6. And so, with a 6.83 on the optimum, 1.5 tenths improvement, coming up here, a 48.118. That's the fastest I've ever gone through the second split. Let's see what we can do. A bit late on the brakes into the hairpin. Is that going to cost me on the exit? It's actually not too bad at all. The ghost is going to pull away slightly, but this is going to be an improvement. It is going to be a 0.6, and you can tell just how happy I was with that. Yes, come on. Get in there, Lewis. Miracles do happen, mate. That's me done. I'm done, guys. Within a second of the number one. 480th in the world. Okay, guys, less than 1 hour remaining. Can I get one final improvement? The very short answer to that question is a resounding no. I did get a couple more 115.8s. I was not able to improve. And so, with the last couple of seconds winding down of this time trial, I was quite happy with the time I had set, albeit with some rather sad news. There we go, guys. I'm not going to be an Olympian. Giorgio Mangano's fastest, 14.746. Okay, after all of that, 545th in the world. Pretty happy with that. And we did get the gold medal by about 1.5 tenths. And there it is, final confirmation, 4 million credits. I will gladly take those. Thank you very much. So a massive congratulations to these drivers for qualifying for the event in Singapore. Good luck to all of them. Do not forget we have the giveaway for the GT DD Pro. Sign up for my merch coming out very soon, supergt.gg. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you next time. Goodbye.